All right, hello again. This is Michal from Runecast, and welcome to our webinar about troubleshooting NSX. Today's agenda is actually very simple, and it's all about NSX. For those who do not know who is Runecast or what is Runecast, I'm going to briefly introduce the company, and then we will jump right into the tips how to investigate issues in NSX for vSphere. Yes, we're going to talk about NSX-V as an NSX for vSphere today, not NSX-T. I would then also give you a slight demo of the most recent version of a Runecast analyzer tool, which has a direct support for NSX-V and can help you significantly to troubleshoot NSX problems as well. And in the end, we will have still some time for the questions from you who are interested either in a product from Runecast or in NSX-V troubleshooting. All right, so what is Runecast? Runecast is a company and it's a software vendor of a Runecast analyzer. Runecast Analyzer is a virtual appliance that's primarily designed as a product to help VMware admins with their VMware products such as troubleshooting, issue detection, security, or log analysis. It supports at the moment 3 VMware products, vSphere, vSAN, and NSX-V. The product itself is able to also recommend to improve and help to avoid issues in your VMware systems. That being said, it combines the best practices and the knowledge base from VMware in order to discover and guide you through the potential issues and how to improve the stability or likelihood of the chance of the issue of your VMware products. As well with the security profiles like disaster, VMware security hardening, and very soon PCI DSS, it also helps you to automate the vSphere checks in the security hardening. All right, so now let's back to NSX. And I would like to start with a brief overview of the components that may be a problem of the troubleshooting or that may be causing some issues, and I would like to at least most of those touch today during this short little tutorial how to troubleshoot NSX-V issues. So it's NSX Manager as a command center, then distributed firewall, logical switch, distributed router, and NSX Edge. By the way, all those 5 components is something that Runecast is able to automatically check and discover for potential issues. All right, so don't be scared of a lot of text on this slide. I have a couple of slides prepared for those who cannot watch the webinar in real time and they would like to look at it later on, but we will jump directly to the NSX Manager UI and the vSphere console in order to show a couple of 5 points and tips which can lead into troubleshooting and the troubleshooting solution in your NSX-V environment. So let me just switch the screen and let's go to directly the vSphere web client and NSX Manager. So at the moment I'm on my testing environment where I have my NSX-V and the vSphere. And let's start with very basics. So if you would like to set up the NSX and the host deployment, you may run into a couple of issues with the connections. So the components like NSX or the product like NSX may have a difficulty to communicate with the vCenter. Those 2 tools obviously or software products needs to be connected or interconnected, and sometimes it's a little bit tricky to quickly understand what's going on, why I cannot communicate with NSX and vice versa. So for that I recommend to go to vSphere dashboard here. By the way, I'm using Flash version because in HTML5 there are some things not fully covered or they are done differently, so many of you still using probably this Flash version. So you go to the dashboard of the vSphere web client and network and security tab, which is visible from this content menu. And you go to dashboard, and in the system overview, I recommend to check for the statuses of the connectivity. And if you click the icon, so it's not hover, it's click, it provides you the additional information, namely about the NSX components, what is running, and like RabbitMQ mainly. But also, when you establish your NSX instance, the first thing you should do is go to NSX console settings and network, and then check the IP address and gateway, obviously, and ensure that that's allowed in the firewall on the route between your vCenter and NSX. There is also a recommended group of ports, basically, that needs to be opened on the firewall manager. So I recommend you to check the VMware documentation for that. I don't list it here, but it's a list of the numbers of the ports that needs to be opened if you want to ensure seamless communication between the NSX-V and your vCenter. All right, so that's very the basic for the network communication between the NSX and the vCenter. And there also can be some problem with the host deployments. So for that reason, if you experience such issues, go again to the vSphere, go network security, and then go installation and upgrade tab, and go to the host preparation, where you can see actually a lot of valuable information here, mainly the installation status. And if there are any problems, you can quickly discover what is the problem about, what's the specific host that has the issue, and it points you directly to the right area of your investigation. So this is also very handy. Another thing that's definitely worth to examine is the agent manager, basically, and if it is properly connected and set as well, which you can also find here in this menu. Another thing that's important and may lead into the issues, as I mentioned a moment ago, is about the NSX services. So if you go to the VMware NSX Manager and to the Summary tab, make sure the RabbitMQ, Postgres, and the NSX Manager service is running. And if there are any problems with that, or you may try it as a first step of the troubleshooting, try to stop and start it again to ensure that these services are not causing the primary issues when you deploying the host, or where you trying to communicate with the NSX Manager. All right, then we can actually move to something that's called communication health channel. This is something that can also help you to understand what components are in a fully operational mode. So you go again to the vSphere client, network security tab, install, upgrade, and then you can pick actually your objects you would like to examine, and you click on this icon and go to the communication channel menu. So from here you can see another connectivity statistics, and is very important for the setup and operational status of your NSX and vCenter, which is connection between NSX Manager to firewall agent, NSX Manager to control plane agent, and control plane agent to controller. So in my case, we see everything is up and running. Again, this is a very simple way how you can check those three important network connections and also application connections between the important NSX-V components without any packet capturing, routing analysis, which can be the point of the observation later on. But this is the very basic. But some people may really forget this menu exists here. All right. Another thing that's good to check is basically when you navigate to the installation and host preparation, and you see the communication and the channel health. In the case that there are any issues with that, I also recommend to go to the NSX manager log and search in the log message for the status of the connection, which can be up, down, or not available. So one of those three statuses. Good. If we move on, then another important thing that some folks really don't consider as so important is that time synchronization. So pretty much even VMware everywhere recommends to set the NTP servers on both vSphere and the NSX. So it's pretty crucial to have the time synchronized between these two products. And to validate that, on NSX side, go to the NSX console, manage, and in general, straight away you see if the NSX NTP server is configured. But that's not at all. We also have to go to the vSphere and also check if the vSphere is properly configured as well, if it has the NTP server connection. We need to go to host and clusters. All right, finally here. Hopefully it will be smoother. Fine. And now you just need to select the host. And here in this menu, scroll down a little bit. And the system, you check the time configuration, and you see that there is NTP client. In my case, it's disabled, which is not a good thing. It should be enabled as well. For example, in my another host, right, it's also disabled, but in this case, another host is enabled. So I really recommend to make sure the NTP synchronization is done on both NSX and also the vCenter vSphere settings. Another thing that run into the issues when it's not done properly is the user privileges and the accounts. And this is also something that needs to be done within vSphere to set properly the accounts that are enabled to be assigned to NSX managers. Basically, they can communicate from vCenter to NSX managers. So for that reason, again, I can go to network security. Okay, good, it's fast again. And then I go to users and domains. Right. And then, for example, here, you should ensure that you either edit the account and also the account has the proper permission. So in my case, I'm the enterprise admin, but you can be also the NSX admin as well, or only an auditor, for example, which we're going to use as a role that's needed for a Runecast analyzer to analyze the NSX-V. Okay, so those are the roles. And then we can also run into a little bit of a command line script and double check that the ESXi hosts can use or using proper links and uplinks that they should. So if you're troubleshooting that connectivity, you can connect to your NSX manager and simply call show ARP to see first of all if there is a record with your vCenter, and also through the command ESXi top actually, and when you press the N key, you can see the port IDs and also what NSX component is using that. So this is also very handy. In my case, for example, I see my NSX control 7 using this port ID 33555 something on a vSwitch 0. So if you would like to have the very brief troubleshooting and understanding if your NSX components are using the ports that you dedicated them, then this is the right place to do so. So this is for some network connectivity checking, again, which is usually a problem between the NSX and vCenter deployments. And the very last thing I may mention is also the association of the VXLAN. So if we go to vSAN menu again, we go to network security, installation and upgrades, and then we go to logical network. Then we see the statuses, and for example, in my case, you may see there is a problem that this particle object supposed to get the address from DHCP, but in fact it was not obtained. So I quickly discovered that this is a problem, and again needs to be focused here. So those are the, I would say, in the box tools that you may use when you do the very basic sanity checks when there is some problem between the NSX-V and your vCenter or with the NSX-V itself. Obviously, not all problems are so simple that can be solved by just using these UIs and the VMware tools, and you need to use packet capturing, and you need to try simulate the particular routing conditions and so on. Obviously, we don't have a time to go through that today, but what we have a time to do is to show you how you can automate detection of the issues for NSX-V. And this is basically what we can do with Runecast. So if you install the Runecast appliance, which is the virtual appliance on your vCenter, and you run it, you log in, and you land to the dashboard here, then you can very simply add your NSX and scan for the existing issues you may have. Again, Runecast is using the knowledge base of VMware and automating the checks in order to discover that those KB are in fact presented on your system, and it also provides you the way how to fix that. For NSX-V especially, as I mentioned, you need to edit. So in this little exercise, I'm actually going to use this IP address, and this is enter vCenter with NSX, and I'm going to actually remove it and edit again, so you see the entire process of adding the vCenter. So you click the button Add vCenter, you enter your DNS or the host name, then we need the credentials, okay. I mistype it, no, it's all correct. And now in the second step, you may notice that Runecast is able to automatically detect your NSX manager that's connected to this particular vCenter. We are able to detect the IP address and the port, and what you need to use here is your credential. In my case, as I showed you earlier, we just need to use the NSX auditor role. And last step, we just need to confirm that basically we are connecting the right NSX to the vCenter, just for the version 6.2 of the NSX. Another version that are higher than 6.2 do not need this check. We click finish, and voila, the vCenter with NSX has been added. What we need to do right now is, in my case, to properly license this. So I'm going to edit here. And then we go to dashboard and hit scan. I hit analyze button. I see I have a small little glitch of my web browser here. Okay, and the analysis takes basically about 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depends on the size of your environment. In my case, we will probably about 30 seconds. If we go a little bit down here, you can see the progress, how each vCenter is being analyzed. So the first one actually has been analyzed already. If I can click more, that's the vCenter I've added with the NSX, just to demonstrate to you that in this probably 20 seconds, we were able to perform about 11,000 checks. And then if we go to the issue list, we can find and filter for NSX issues only. I will actually display all vCenters. And here in the product column, I can select the NSX-V. Okay, so I can see only the NSX-V issues, and you see the combination of everything we were able through Runecast Analyzer detect. So you can see best practices, you can see their severity, you can see security hardening, so the security profiles checks, or configuration issues known as a knowledge base. And again, if I'm particularly interested in the configuration issues only for my test environment, I select KBs only and see the list of the issues. I see that if I expand them, I see the description for the NSX, in this case, data plane outage, control plane outage issue. And the findings, I can see why this issue has been triggered. It's because of the version of my controller. And if I go to details, I see also the resolution, so I can see that the issue is resolved in the vSphere 6.3.5 or 6.4. So I should be probably able to upgrade my environment to remove that glitch or bug. And the same thing for the rest of the issues I can see here. As I mentioned earlier, if you get rid of the configuration issues of NSX, you can follow with the best practices to make your environment even more stable and stronger. And it's very similar pattern how to improve it, how to fix it. So in the details, you have a description of what to do. In my case, the MTU needs to be set at least 1600 bytes. And in findings, I can find the NSX object that's breaking the rule. So in my case, is this element. So I can go here, I can click on that and actually filter the issues that are related only to this NSX object. If you would like to have the topology view, by the way, just go to inventory, and if you expand the NSX manager under your edit vCenter, you can see the issues in controllers, distributed switches, or edges. And again, you can drill down to any particular object like this to see the details and how to fix them. And last but not least, there are security profiles. So by default, there is a VMware guidelines enabled that also contains the part of the PCI DSS checks as well. And if you are interested in the federal standard called DISASTIC version 6, you need to go to security compliance under settings, enable it in the profile, then go back, scan your environment, and then select from here your NSX profile that's applicable for either distributed firewall, logical router, or the NSX manager. So as you may see, it automates a lot of things for NSX, considering it's still quite a new product on the market. It's quite complex. The Runecast Analyzer is here to basically remove all existing issues, which by the way is typically more than 90% of issues that people are reporting to VMware. All right, so that's basically the most of our today's session. Let me actually check if there are any questions. If you have some, feel free to use the question panel at the moment so we can go through them. The Runecast Analyzer is available for a download, as I mentioned earlier, from runecast.com/register. There is a 14 days free trial as a virtual appliance, and the commercial license is charged per CPU sockets of your hosts. Thank you very much today, and I hope you liked the session. It was somehow helpful for at least the basic overview of NSX troubleshooting, and we will hear some of you soon again in the next round of the webinar in August. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of the day.